Hello there, this is Ron Wills, and I'm coming back at you again with yet another video. Today, I'm going to read a chapter from my book, A Player's Eyes. And that chapter was entitled Incompatibility and Unrealistic Expectations. And reason I'm reading this chapter is it represents a big problem in relationships. Now, the title of my book, A Player's Eyes, was One Man's View of Sexual Relationships. And I didn't pull any punches in this book, and I just called it like I see it. There's, some men going to read it. There's going to be some things that, is going to maybe piss off a few men, some stuff that's going to piss off a few women, but I just called it like I see it. And one of the things I, really wanted to get out was that one chapter, and because of a major issue in relationships, which is incompatibility and unrealistic expectations. Now, I'm going to read this, and sometimes I might just stop the excerpt just to, elaborate on a point that I come across. So, anyway, sit back and enjoy this excerpt. And one of the main things is I want you to think about what I'm saying. All right, here we go. One of the first relationship books I read back in the day was by a gentleman named Don Spears. The book was called In Search of Good Pussy. Yeah, that was the title. The gist of the book was about how men, particularly black men, were looking for love in their relationships. Don Spears covered a lot of issues that are still relevant today, even though his book was published in 1991. One chapter was entitled Incompatibility and Unrealistic Expectations. In that chapter, he said the biggest reasons relationships fail is that two people were incompatible with each other and that they had unrealistic expectations that such a relationship would work. Let's look at the unrealistic expectation piece first. The biggest single problem in male-female relationships is that most people are not realistic in searching for a mate. You have plain-looking, average-shaped women with boring personalities thinking they can get a top-tier male. These women will not only reject men who are more in their league as far as looks and personality, but will do so with an attitude. Even when they manage to hook up with a select man, in most cases they are not really compatible. Bomb 6 doesn't mean that two people need to be together outside the bedroom. Dude could just have that good dick which he shares with 5 other women. Yet Plain Jane thinks it's love when she's really just a cool booty call. Then when Plain Jane realizes that Mr. Goodbar doesn't love her, all men become dogs until she starts to swoon in the arms of another sexy dude. The bad part in all of this is that her Plain Jane girlfriends will encourage her in this. They know that girl doesn't look good in those yoga pants and that she should stop doing her own hair. They will be the main ones saying that pretty boy don't know what he's missing out on. Her girlfriends ain't being honest with her because they want to believe they can get a rich pretty boy too. The irony is that Plain Jane will have an average Joe who is feeling her basic looking self, even with the muffin top. She can even be in a relationship with him. Average Joe treats her well, holds her hand in public, and is even decent in bed. Of course, her jealous girlfriends start getting in her ear about how she could do better. Average Joe is just a regular looking dude who could stand to lose some weight and needs to buy clothes from places other than a discount store. Plus, her girlfriends are jealous that Jane has a man at all, as no one is blowing up their phones or liking their pictures on social media. Jane starts listening to her girlfriends and kicks Average Joe to the curb for some minor shit. Story don't end there though. Few women will kick a man to the curb without having another man in mind. Jane has been checking out this tall, muscular dude she has been seeing around the mall where she works. Dexter Goodbar. Let me just stop real quick. Longtime readers of my blog and even longtime people who've been watching my videos, they know about Dexter Goodbar. Anyway, let me continue. Dude starts being friendly to Jane after she had said hi to him every time she saw him for a month. Her sexual interest shows all over her face, so Dexter marks her for sex somewhere down the road. Let me stop here again. One thing with good bar types, dudes who really get a lot of pussy. When they know that a woman has chosen them, they might not jump on her right away. They'll just like maybe note where they met her, note where they'll see her, and say, okay, I'll get with that later. So let me continue. Jane, being in her fantasy world, thinks she has a chance, so after getting rid of Average Joe, she fixes her hair a bit and starts wearing body shaping garments under her clothes. She even shops for new outfits and finally joins a gym. Dexter takes notice and gives her his number. She blows up his phone and friends him on social media. They eventually have sex after he invites her over to chill. They go hot and heavy for a month before he decides to kick her to the curb. A dime made herself available to him, and he didn't want to be seen in public with Jane anyway. Plain Jane goes into depression because she realized that she was just a sex toy for Goodbar as he never went out with her. To add to that depression, she finds out that Average Joe is now going out with one of the women who told her to get rid of Average Joe to begin with. The problem was, Plain Jane wasn't realistic as to who she was and the type of man she could actually get. Now, before some men gloat on here, men, we get into that thing too now. So here we go. It's just as bad for men. There are many non-select men who could probably get a decent woman. That woman would not be a dime though. For every woman who is insistent on getting an A1 man, there's a woman who has enough common sense to be good with an average Joe. Thing is, many average Joes don't want those women. Dude is plain looking or even ugly. He isn't tall, doesn't have an athletic body, and has very little style as far as dressing. His personality is dull. Let me stop right there. And I'm definitely going to do a video on this. For the fellas out there, you know what? You ain't going to win no modeling contracts. You better have a bomb-ass personality. Your ass better be cool as shit or funnier than a motherfucker. I'm serious. You better have some personality, because that's the real game right there. Shoot, that's the great equalizer. If your ass ain't looking like you Idris Elba or something, or Shamar Moore, or Chris Brown, if you ain't looking like one of those dudes, you better be able to make that woman laugh. You better be a funny ass motherfucker. And if you ain't the type who, you got jokes like that, or you got comedy like that, you can't roast people like that, you better just be a cool ass motherfucker. Whatever the case, you cannot be dull. Let me continue. Yet, many of these men, because they have a steady job with decent pay, think they should get a dime. Not just a dime, but a dime who will fuck them like a porn star. I've heard numerous average Joes articulate this in one form or another. These men don't seem to grasp that a beautiful woman who is good at sex will want a similar man. A woman knows she got a pretty face, firm breasts, a small waist, and a fat round ass. Good genes gave her the face, and 3 hours in the gym, 6 days a week gave her the body. Her hard work on her job supplemented by men with big credit limits pay for her hair and tight dresses. The fuck this dime will want with some homely, pudgy, or skinny dude who can't engage her in a stimulating conversation. There are some men who honestly think a dime wants a fucked up looking dude humping her for 3 minutes. A dime more so. Wait, hold on, before I even go further. That's another thing too. If you just an average looking dude, and I'm definitely going to do a video on all of this, your sex game better be the bomb. I'm serious, your sex game. I knew this dude was clinically obese, but he used to get like straight up dime looking women, because he would tell them straight up he would eat that pussy. I saw him actually go up to a woman he barely knew and say, hey, look, why don't you come over and come sit on my face? And she was giggling like hell. I was like I said, it wasn't a cold approach, but it wasn't somebody he knew like that. I was like, damn. So straight up, get your sex skills together. If you got nothing else, that woman need to be able to look at you and think, you know what, he don't look like all that, and I don't want to have a conversation with him. But that dude look like he'll tear this shit up. And I actually talk about those things on my private sites, just increasing that sexual energy and stuff. Because if you look like you can fuck, trust me, they'll forget about that other stuff. She just ain't gonna want to be seen with you in public. But you don't really want to need to be seen with her in public if you want to be real about it. Anyway, let me keep going. A dime, more so than a plain Jane, wants Mr. Goodbar. The more a woman is in good physical shape, especially internally, the more she will be aroused by a man with a great body. Um, this is a shameless plug, I know, but if y'all want to really get into real sexuality and forget all this meeting and all that, y'all need to check out my private sites. Anyway, let me keep going with the excerpt. Many average Joes, good guys, nerdy guys, and gamesmen think they have a real chance with a dime. It's easier to lie to themselves instead of doing the work necessary to become desirable. After the non-select men get rejected for the umpteenth time, they either withdraw from the game or take to the internet where they call women bitches and thoughts. The problem comes down to people not staying in their lane. Many men and women want that ideal figure as opposed to the person they can actually get. So many men and women are chasing unicorns and then get depressed when they don't find that special person. It's not that the person don't exist, it's just that the person may not look like somebody's romantic ideal on the surface. I'm not saying go for someone who is physically unattractive to you. It's just that often when people are chasing Dexter Goodbar or Julie Dime, they pass over decent people right in their midst. People who are not only decent looking but have compatible personalities. I'm gonna share some I shared on my private site. Sometimes the best people are not the like top tier model people, but maybe the people who are slightly above average or something. You know, sometimes those are ones, those are real diamonds sometimes. You know, you find out some stuff, man. I mean, I'm gonna tell y'all a little story. I remember I was at this writers conference, right? And I saw this. There was a woman there. She was alright. She was pretty cool. I couldn't really do anything because I was involved, right? When I first met her, it was during the day. She had on a loose dress that just totally covered up her body. You know, you couldn't really tell anything. I mean, her face was decent, kind of like that black girl nerd thing, right? That evening, there was like this big, you know, kind of banquet for all the writers there and stuff. I saw her again. She had on a short dress. I ain't gonna lie, it took all my willpower not to disrespect my lady there, because this woman was looking good. I was like, God damn. Like one of those make your face look ugly type of things. I was like, good God. I mean, she had some big, shapely legs. She had on a short dress. She was sexy as shit. I can't, I'm sorry, I gotta curse. You can't even like keep that shit clean. I was like, good Lord. She looked like one of those women that you didn't want to catch her naked on payday. That would have been your paycheck. You shoot. She bring out the simp in a man. Let's just be real with it. I was like, damn. And you know, there's a lot of people out there. That's for the men. It's like a lot of diamonds, but for the ladies too. Y'all be missing out. For the women who come to my site, come listen to these videos. There's a lot of men y'all be sleeping on because, you know, maybe they ain't got like that, that big late model European car, or, you know, they, instead of like being 6'2", they might be 5'10", or shoot, even 5'9" or something. And, you know, instead of having that six pack, they got a little bit of a pudge or something. But that'll be the guy that'll like rock your world or something, and be the guy who gonna support you and really be there for you and show up for you. There's a lot of people passing that person by because they chasing the top tier, even though the top tier is what, less than 5% of any at any given time. Maybe not even that. Because think about it, all these like stars and models that we idolize. One, most of them got makeup artists and stuff like that and personal trainers to keep them in shape. You know, they have nothing else to do but look good. And, you know, if you were to catch them and, you know, even if they looking good, that don't mean your personality is compatible. And seriously, too many people passing over decent people right in their midst. Those diamonds. I'll probably do a separate video on just passing over the diamonds in the rough. And that's men and women. I'm going to just be fair with it. Be fair with it. Ain't just the men passing over these women. A lot of women complain about that too. They say these men passing over these women for these booty models, but women, ladies, y'all doing the same thing. Y'all doing the exact same thing, and don't act like you ain't. Don't act like you ain't pass over some guy, cause instead of driving that Mercedes, you driving a Toyota that could need some work. Shoot, that dude could be just on the V. He could be driving that Toyota to the car lot to get a new car. Shoot, he could be driving to the gym to get the body together. Seriously, I want everybody to think about that. And fellas, sometimes those women who be wearing, they don't be wearing those heels and got some loose clothing on and stuff. Sometimes I lost count how many men. I have lost count of how many sisters. Listen to me, fellas. How many sisters or whatever I've met in my lifetime who, you see them in ordinary circumstances, they don't seem like much, but then, you get the clothes off or you see them in a different light and you like, God, good Lord. A lot of women don't show this shit out here like that. And that's cool. And that's kind of like the woman you want anyway. You don't want some woman running out here showing all her shit to everybody. Kind of want her to show, like, save her best stuff for you. So, and let me keep going. Anyway, so many people out here looking for surface shit. Thing is, being attracted to the outer shell is normal and necessary in a balanced relationship. Notice I said balance. Fuck political correctness. A person needs to like to look at their mates. And let me stop there real quick. Let's think about what I said earlier. A lot of decent looking people are still alright to look at. They ain't hideous. And a lot of people be passing over people, and if you ask them, they say, well, you know what? They weren't drop dead gorgeous, but they were alright. Yeah, sometimes you get to know somebody, they start to look better. Anyway. The problem is that people put so much stock in the outer that they miss the inner. What I just told y'all. That's why a lot of men and women get burned. You might like a person's face and body, but what if that person practices a value system that is in opposition to your own? The physical aspect of the relationship will be good for a few months, but problems will occur once the value systems and personalities start to show themselves. Let me stop right there. And this is a video. I'm gonna do a video one day about how religion affects relationships, because that's something we don't really talk about. There's a lot of times I've known a lot of women who will meet a dude who got everything they want, but because they are members of a Christian church, they don't want to deal with that dude. Especially in the black community, I've known of like Christians, a lot of Christian sisters. They'll meet that brother who is real cool, but he a Muslim, or he practicing like some African spiritual system, or he might even be an atheist, and they'll say they really attracted to him and he got this, that, and the third. Some are still messing with him sexually, but they don't want to go any further because he ain't supporting the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and that's a big thing. And you know what, it's a fair thing too, because ultimately if you hooking up with somebody, your value system got to align. Forget the business. Y'all could be physically attracted to each other. Money could be there. Everything looking good on paper. But if y'all got a different value system, that's going to cause trouble. And it's unrealistic to think that shit going to work. Because at some point, that value system is going to cause a conflict. Because ultimately, we ain't just attracted to a person, but we're attracted to their value systems. That's going to be another video. Seriously, because we got to get deep with that one. Anyway. Let me keep going. Let me finish this up. I don't want to be too long with it. Anyway, I've known several dimes in my life. Some were compatible to my personality and some were not. It didn't make anyone bad, but any relationship with the incompatible women beyond sex would have caused me mental anguish. So many men chase these incompatible women anyway. Yeah, they look good to family and friends, but behind closed doors, many men are getting their asses kicked emotionally. I've had men tell me the vile shit some women did to him, and they would always end the conversation with, she had a fat ass though. Brothers, let me stop real quick. Brothers, I know some of y'all laughing because I think most brothers who dealt with any number of women been there, dealt with some crazy ass woman longer than we know we should have, but she had a fat ass. Anyway, let me finish this up. Now, I've known a few extremely handsome men in my life. It would seem like they had it made. Nope, they got their foul shit too. I've not only known these men, I've known their women as well. The women found out the hard way that all that glitters is not gold. Piercing eyes and a pretty smile have fucked up many a woman's head. The problem was that the women didn't think in terms of compatibility. A handsome man making a woman laugh is just that, a handsome man making a woman laugh. If a man look good enough, he can say poo poo in a monotone voice, and a woman will think it's the funniest and sexiest shit she has ever heard. A muscular body can make a man a comic genius to a horny woman. That doesn't speak to whether they are compatible yet. A woman will think they're right for each other. Ultimately, people need to balance how they choose a mate. First, they have to be realistic. If a man is 5'7", 20 pounds overweight with an average face and sporadic employment history, it will be unrealistic for him to think that a 5'11" dime with a killer body and high-paying job is going to want him. The woman who might feel him might be plain looking with extra weight around her stomach. Thing is, she is shorter than him and will tolerate his inability to keep a steady job as long as he treats her right. She even thinks he's cute. If a woman is plain-faced, slim, without any curves or breasts, and a dull personality, it isn't realistic to think she'll get a tall, muscular man with money and charisma. Only in poorly written romance novels does this happen. 50 Shades of Grey. If she does get such a man, he will likely use her to do things sexually his girlfriend and wife doesn't want to do. The best man for this woman is someone who likes slim and quiet women who may be average looking with a modest income and equally dull personality. Bottom line is that people have to have realistic expectations of potential mates and they have to be compatible. And so, that just gave you out a whole chapter plus a little commentary from A Player's Eyes. And I got the link for A Player's Eyes down in my description box. So check that out. Check out a lot of stuff I say. Boo hissing with all that for what you don't agree with, and stand up and clap for the things that you do. So, that be it for today. Thank y'all for listening. Go out and get A Player's Eyes. A brother gotta feed his big head kids who, gotta have every damn video game. Man, as much business as I'm giving PlayStation and stuff, I should be getting a kickback. But that's how it is as a dad, man. They got you wrapped around their fingers. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.